So I happen to love public speaking. It's not something that I get nervous about until I see that I get to follow Adam. So then it's like I know he's going to be up here and he's brilliant and he's going to tell you all these incredible things, and then I get to come up and I'm like his mom and I get to say, okay, now here's how you do it in the real world, and this is what we have to get done. So I'm going to talk about the easy part. Culture is hard. Culture, I've been doing this for 33 years. I don't care if it's DevOps, I don't care if it's grid computing, utility computing, distributed systems versus mainframe. All the things that we've done over time require changes in culture, and that is the hard part. If you can handle that part, the technology is easy. So at Chef, we want to enable you to be able to get to those cultural changes easier. So I had no idea what Adam's slide said before I came up here. But it's funny because he showed the Amazon Whole Foods story. I handled a company called US Foods. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a big food distributor. And I worked for VMware, and I provided them all of their virtualization software, and they were just getting ready to move to VRA and a private cloud environment. And right when it was happening, they announced that they were going to merge with Cisco Foods. You guys are in Texas. You're probably familiar with Cisco. So a year and a half later, they reached out to me. And I was with Chef at that time, and they said, we need to talk to you. I said, all right. I had heard that the merger fell apart, wasn't approved by antitrust. So I went in to talk to them. They said, all right, we have got to move fast. We need to get Chef deployed in here. We need to do our integration with VRA. How quickly can we get this up and running and change the whole company so that we're automated? And I said, well, we'll do it as fast as we can, but I'm excited to see it like this. Is this because you saw what Cisco is doing and you were like, man, they're going to eat our lunch. We've got to make sure that we get through this. And they said, we could care less about Cisco. They said, if we don't drastically change our business model, we are going to be gone in 5 years. And it's Amazon Fresh that's going to put us out of business. So fast forward several years since I had this initial discussion with them, and they are on their journey to cloud. Interestingly, they're putting all of their stuff out in AWS, which is the company that they're most afraid of, but that's why Amazon is brilliant. The antitrust was passed. The Whole Foods Amazon antitrust approval was given in less than 30 days. So think about that. A year and a half, and you're told you can't because it's creating an environment where your customers might have to pay more. And then we have this new world where Amazon buys Whole Foods, which can start to destroy US Foods and Cisco's, et cetera, and it gets approved. So it's a different world today, and you've got to change and adapt to that different world. So how do you do it? We talk about DevOps, right? Well, that's already changing. So how many of you have heard DevSecOps? Okay, I come from a security background, 13 years at Veritas/Symantec. I happen to think that security is vital to what we do, especially when you're going into companies like Cap One, when you're in banks, when you're in healthcare, where you have data that needs to be protected. It can ruin your reputation as a company if you don't prove that your customers, your employees' data is safe and protected. So from a Chef perspective and from a DevOps perspective, I think you've got to think DevSecOps. And here we go. We'll give you another one. We'll give you DCA, Detect, Correct, and Automate. The thing we've learned in the past several years is it's not enough to automate a bad process. So let's say you've got something within your environment. You want to automate it to make it faster, but you can make it faster, and if it's still not a good process, then you're going to have a bad process that's produced even more quickly. So we say detect, understand what your environment is, look at what you want your environment to be. Chef will help you do that with our Inspect technology. Correct it, make the changes to your existing environment that need to be changed, and once you know you've got the right footprint and the right thing to roll out, then you start automating everything. And then it becomes a continuous loop, and then we get to continuous automation, and then the brick and mortar companies who have the distribution channels can innovate faster and start to compete with the upstarts that don't have the technical debt and the infrastructure debt and buildings and people, et cetera. All of that goes away, and they can start to compete and take advantage of their customer base and all the years that they took building those companies. So we ask that you stop by the booth, and we'll tell you more about it. And once again, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Shelley.